Is the lack of detail on your LEGO Star Wars minifigures disappointing you? Have the clones from your childhood got Sharpie on them because you tried to make them something that they're not? Or do you feel disappointed because the cost of LEGO is rising whereas the quality is decreasing? Well, fear not, because today I'll be teaching you how to upgrade 10 of your LEGO Star Wars minifigures so that they are the best and most accurate versions that you could ever own. Starting off strong, let's talk about everyone's new favorite villains slash anti-heroes slash emos. And that of course is Lord Balin and Shin. Now Lord Balin is pretty straightforward. The biggest thing missing from him was a cape, and given that Darth Vader had it in the LEGO Star Wars mechs, it is kind of shocking that he didn't get one in this set. Now when it comes to Balin and Shin, I feel like there are two really good cape options. The first being that really basic, classic LEGO Star Wars cape that is featured on Darth Vader, which you can get pretty cheaply thanks to the mechs, and the other option, which is personally my favorite, especially for Shin, is that Mandalorian cut cape. Recently, LEGO did make an official version of this in black thanks to the third sister from the Obi-Wan Kenobi sets. However, for me personally, since I do want that stiffer cape material, I ended up going with a custom cape. For Lord Balin, I prefer the classic cape because you can also make an alternate version of him where you swap out his hairpiece and add on that brand new hood piece. As for Shin, I really like using the Mandalorian cape. I just think it looks way better on her, and unfortunately, this isn't quite enough to make the minifigure just look quite right. There's just something about this character that no one can seem to absolutely nail when putting her into toy form, and especially I feel like with minifigures, because of all of the proportions, it doesn't work with her. The capes just make these characters look far more menacing, but there is one last upgrade for both of these minifigures that you can take if you really want to, and that is by getting the trans orange lightsaber blade piece and swapping out their blades. Now personally for me, I think the red looked closer to the show, whereas the orange looked closer to the trailers, so I'm just gonna leave mine as is. Next up is good old Jedi Luke, who has been needing an upgrade for his hairpiece for a very long time, and this year LEGO did that. However, it does look a little goofy. I definitely think it's an improvement. Whether or not that's a good improvement is a different question. That being said, it adds some much needed texture to his hair. However, it does look very tall. Now when it comes to me and LEGO, for the most part I'm a purist, but I do enjoy a lot of custom printed stuff. Though outside of minifigure accessories, I haven't really dabbled in any custom molded things. But when I saw this Luke hairpiece from Firestar Toys, I had to pick it up. It is so much better. And for a custom hairpiece too, I feel like this is still very in line with the LEGO style, which is something that I really like in my own collection. I don't think LEGO is going to be remaking this hairpiece anytime soon, but I really wish they would make something more like this. Now for a character with the best and most variety when it comes to outfits and Star Wars, it's quite disappointing that Padme seems to constantly let me down these days. Now I'm really glad that they upgraded this minifigure because the torso design looks fantastic. However, something just as simple as some dual molded legs would have taken this minifigure to the next level. And I say next level as if this is going to make a massive difference. It's really not. I mean, it definitely makes her a lot more accurate, and just given how simple it is and the fact that this piece is available really easily off the Builder minifigure wall makes it really confusing as to why this wasn't included in the set in the first place. It's such a simple fix. If you haven't done it already, I highly recommend it. At least Padme's plain legs are accurate, because when it comes to Jacen from The Ghost, his hair does not match at all. The hairstyle is pretty good and a pretty close match, but unfortunately Jacen does have green hair, and this was a thing in both Rebels and the Ahsoka show. So it really makes me wonder, did the concept art actually have brown hair for Jacen, and if so, why? That aside though, the hair does really annoy me. I thought maybe they were going to dye his hair brown at some point in the show, but that just didn't happen, and unfortunately there are not a lot of green hair pieces. I scoured Bricklink trying to find a replacement for him, but unfortunately there is just none that are available, so I really feel like LEGO should have resulted into remolding this hair into that really nice dark forest green color. I've tried to do a mock-up as best as I can of what that would look like, and I really think that this looks a lot closer to Jacen in his posters, and I don't think we're gonna get a new season of Ahsoka anytime soon, so I feel like this is really gonna be the only minifigure we have of him for several years. So quick side note, while editing I actually found this hairpiece on Bricks and Pieces that I think will work really well. It's a little bit brighter, but it is a green hairpiece in the same style. I'm gonna take it. Next up is Captain Vaughn. Now in my opinion, I really don't have that many issues with this minifigure. I think he looks fine, he's nothing special. However, like a lot of other minifigures, of course, he could be much more accurate. So the first thing I want to do with Vaughn is actually give him some custom arms. Usually I don't like adding custom arms to clones, but since I gave some to Commander Cody and Captain Rex comes with printed arms, I feel like giving them towards commanders or captains is pretty fitting. But the arms are just such a small thing, so my way of upgrading Vaughn even more is by taking his visor piece and adding on that extra kind of Ahsoka clone trooper detail. Now this is not something that I ever expected LEGO to do. They've never printed on a visor before. I doubted they were gonna start doing it for a battle pack. To me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, and I completely understand why this was the decision made. However, whiteout pens exist, and there's also white gel pens and white Sharpies and a ton of other white markers, and given that you get a couple of extra visors in the pack, why not try and draw it yourself? Yes, it's gonna look a little bit dodgy, but also at the same time, in universe, the clones painted their helmet, so I actually feel like it kind of matches, or at least that's what I'm telling myself to make me feel better about this paint job I just did. Next up are a couple of other easy fixes, including Admiral Salone from the TIE Bomber and Tala from that infamous Obi-Wan Kenobi flying disc. And much like Padme, I'm just gonna swap them out and give them some dual molded legs. Now these dual molded legs are actually currently available on Bricks and Pieces and are super cheap, and they just make the minifigures look a little bit better, and that's really proven too on Admiral Yularen from the UCS Venator, who has got this piece in order to kind of complete his uniform. Celebration Luke is another one that I feel like just the tiniest things just make this minifigure look even better, as he has some really nice jacket printing in the movie, and I feel like having that printed on his arms makes a massive difference. So I ordered some custom arms just to swap them out and make them just that little bit better. As for a playset, this minifigure was pretty good. However, it's this little bit of extra detailing that I love to see in my Star Wars collection, and when I'm given an opportunity to make these minifigures better, I just have to take them. Which then leads us to the infamous Captain Rex minifigure. Now overall, I quite like this minifigure. I don't think he's perfect by any means, but really my biggest issue honestly comes from his shoulder cloth, which I just think is far too big. This pauldron literally covers up half of his arm printing, but anyway, that's a story for another day, because one thing I really wanted to do with this Rex as soon as I saw him was get him a custom camera. The lack of fabric cameras on the clone troopers has been a really big gripe for me and is personally my biggest issue with modern day clone troopers. And with Captain Rex, I feel like they did really well in most other aspects with him, but this lack of a fabric piece for a set that is that expensive just does not make sense to me. And luckily, I'm not alone in thinking this, which has meant that there is a massive uptick in the amount of custom cameras and custom cloth pieces that you can get in the LEGO aftermarket. Now for Captain Rex, printed on his legs, there is this little blue stripe. So the second that I saw the Grandpa Clone Customs fabric camera came out, I knew that this was the one I really wanted. So I ordered a couple for my custom Captain Rexes as well as one for the official one, just to make him actually seem like a minifigure from a UCS set. It seems like such a small detail, but this simple upgrade makes the biggest difference on a minifigure like Rex. The fabric covers up all of the printing on the legs, so for collectors like me who display their minifigures, it just looks absolutely perfect, and I wish LEGO would include a piece like this so that collectors could have it on the minifigure, but kids, if you're playing around with it, you could take it off if you really wanted to. Now lastly for Rex, this isn't something that we can actually do, but it is to fix his antenna with the helmet holes. Now I actually drew this up a couple of months ago in order to make it into a sticker, and when I drew it up, I made sure that the antenna lined up with the original phase 2 hole on the helmet. The height of the antenna is far more accurate and just overall looks a little bit more in proportion to the actual minifigure. And while I really like the helmet of the actual minifigure and I don't think it's awful, just this little upgrade definitely makes a pretty noticeable difference, which I honestly didn't think was going to happen. But here are all of the upgraded minifigures. All of these little upgrades only cost a couple of dollars, so it was really cheap and easy and simple to do all of these, and let me know in the comments down below which was your favorite. If you want to learn how to upgrade more of your LEGO minifigures, consider subscribing to my channel down below, and until next time guys, I'll see you later.